Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats. Hello and welcome to today's episode. I am chatting with the owner of LED Marquee, Tiffany, who I had the pleasure of hanging out with in person at Balloon Boss Summit. So we recorded this episode a little bit before Summit, and since then I have attended and met Tiffany in person, seen LED Marquees in real life, and man, are they cool. So I know a lot of balloon decorators are currently upgrading or thinking about upgrading to include marquees in their offering, in their inventory. And this is one way to do that. We talk about how you can join the LED Marquee family of owners and all the details, what that includes, and how Tiffany started this company and is offering it not only to balloon companies, but a lot of balloon companies are taking advantage. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Let's take a quick break and head over to the UGlue hotline and then get into this interview with Tiffany. Welcome to the UGlue hotline, where we discuss great advice that sticks. Brought to you by Pro Tapes. If you have a question or some great advice to share, click the link in the show notes to call in and leave a voicemail.
Hey Sarah, it's Jolena with Sun and Moon Balloon Design based in Maryland. I'm calling today about a workflow tip I do to keep my photos organized. When an event is over, my workflow triggers me to manually send an event review email. Beforehand, I edit and label my photos, including the event name, the venue, items in it, and I include metadata tags as well with pertinent information like my company name and location. I attach one or two of these in a review request email and send it off. A lot of times, clients will upload these photos into their Google review, and it really improves the quality of the review. It's a great way to keep me on track with labeling photos so I don't get backlogged, and improves my Google reviews, and it just keeps me on track to not archive a project until I have completed those final steps. I hope this helps someone.
Pro Tapes is a leading manufacturer of specialty tape products like Pro Gaff, Pro Artist Tape, and our favorite balloon tape, UGlue, which helps you create amazing balloon arrangements and decorations in less time. You can save 5% on UGlue when you buy directly from Having a Party using code BRIGHT at checkout. All right, welcome to this episode, Tiffany from LED Marquee. I'm excited to chat with you about your business. So many balloon people are kind of diving into the marquee world, and I'm just excited to hear about this business that you have launched. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your company?
Yeah, so I'm Tiffany. I'm the owner of LED Marquee. My husband and I are based out of Nashville, Tennessee. That's where we initially started the idea of LED Marquee. Nashville itself is actually known for neon lights on Broadway. So the whole neon Nashville phenomenon kind of really just exploded, I would say, in the last few years. So we started this a couple years ago, and we had some interest really kind of outside of our bubble that made us think it would be cool for other small business owners to be able to, take their business to the next level, and by offering a new product to the industry. And that's how we came up with LED Marquee.
So did you start this as your business, to run, and you were renting the marquees and you were bringing them around locally?
Yes. So we initially started it that way in Nashville. We wanted to bring something that was kind of new and fresh into the marquee space. Everybody kind of knows the traditional bulb style, the incandescents. And while those are beautiful in their right settings, we wanted to bring something that was going to really kind of pack that punch, I guess, for the Nashville scene. And so the neons were kind of the new and fresh thing. So we kind of just started it here. I still own and operate the Nashville market, which is a fun fact. So yeah, I started it. I run it still. Hopefully in the new year, we'll be kind of passing that on to my brother. So keeping it in the family. That's kind of like one of our biggest things is really just the LED Marquee family itself is like kind of really locally owned and operated by small families and small businesses.
Yeah, neat. Okay, cool. So, how did you start this? Did you right away like find someone to manufacture them, or did it kind of evolve? Did you like make your own? And because if people aren't familiar, your marquees are different because it's kind of like the white letter that you might be familiar with, but they're like outlined in LED like rope light basically. So they're super flexible. They can change colors, they move. I'm just familiar because I know balloon people that have them. Um, how did you get them? Where did you make them? How did you do this?
So yeah, so that actually took, it was a process. It took
Yeah.
definitely some months to find the right, manufacturer for these. We were looking for specific things that we wanted the capabilities and functionalities to be. We wanted them to be sturdier than what, you would typically see on the market. We wanted them to color change really easily without remotes. We wanted the
Oh,
flexibility, like
interesting. No, talk
actually,
more about that. The remote. Why
yeah.
without remotes?
Because we already have to carry lots of things in our backpack and all of the tools of the trade to be able to get out there. And the last thing you want to do is like be fumbling for a remote to go change the color in front of a client. So we want to just like easy accessibility for being able to set this up and also just keeping our time condensed because we are the first people that come on site typically to any event, so showcasing that, professionalism and that quality ahead of time also sets the stage for like that balloon artist to come in behind us and like just be like really set to
Yeah.
finish their job on time,
Yeah, I think we've all
time.
waited on marquee installations and it's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard when you're sitting there kind of like tapping your foot. How do
yeah.
you change the colors then? Is it on each individual letter or is it like an app on your phone? Like how
So each
that's cool.
individual, yeah, basically each individual one is it has its own little brain and it's connected to an app. So each one's Bluetooth and we kind of just go in there and we connect to each one. We make the changes. We can do the custom colors to like match the balloons. So if we're working with a balloon artist, we'll kind of get that information ahead of time. Like what are the tough text colors? For instance, this morning actually I did a 7 a.m. install for a plastic surgeon's office here in Nashville. And my balloon artist was like, oh, I'm using teal, tough text teal and willow. And I was like, okay, so I know what color like I'm going to pick and the neon
Yeah.
spectrum to kind of like match the full scope of like what she was going
Yeah, and
for.
you're not like I have red or blue.
Yeah.
Those are your options. Oh, that's really
Right.
cool. I have definitely done like light like puck lights that go inside balloons and
Mhm.
then they're controlled by a remote and I have definitely forgotten the remote and like had no way to turn the lights on. So I'm like, yes, tell me more about no remote because I lose them constantly. That's
Yeah.
really cool. And
Yeah.
then did you design these letters or were you like just looking around for something different until you found the right person to
Yeah.
help you?
So we initially were looking in Nashville for a person to kind of like make these here locally. And we had a design in mind. I'd not really seen anything yet in the marketplace, but I'm a font geek.
Mm,
So I love just, it's typography basically, and what does that look like? And so I kind of had in my mind like a vision of a true font. I definitely wanted the letters themselves to be, if a W is wider than, an M, it should look that way. And I had envisioned LEDs with a full face. I didn't want it just to kind of like go on the inside. So I had some ideas. A lot of my background is kind of in marketing and that kind of space. And so I was like, no, I really want it to look a specific way. And then, we walked around, we went to lots of different places here in Nashville. Didn't really like, we had some test ones made and they just really weren't that quality that we were wanting. We wanted a heavier metal as well. And we wanted clean lines and we wanted a professional paint job. Like we wanted all these things.
yeah.
We're going to, provide the longevity itself in the letters, with wear and tear and use, like frequent use. So we found a manufacturer. we jumped both feet in and bought enough for the Nashville market that we didn't have to say no to anything. When we started this in Nashville, there still are 7 to 8 other marquee companies
Wow,
that just do
really?
marquees, and some of them do balloons as well, but there's several here. It's a very saturated market in the event space in Nashville. So we knew we had to set ourselves apart from that market. And then we really did that by like bringing in the product that we brought in, that was like a higher quality, branding capabilities for corporate clients, and then really just professionalism and top tier service was
Yeah.
kind of like what drove our business in Nashville to grow so fast.
Cool, cool. I like that you're actually operating one of the branches too. I
Yeah.
think that makes a big difference. I think there's been certain things where like, I don't have an example within the marquee world, but even products, I feel like I'm like, you've never touched this. Like you're selling this thing to me and you have no idea what I do with it or what we don't. Even balloons, like there's certain balloons that
Yeah.
come on the market and it's like you can't tie this neck. You can't, this isn't big enough. This isn't round enough. This isn't
Yeah.
opaque enough. And like I just feel like you can really tell when manufacturers are listening and using the product versus just like they don't care, And I think that makes a
Right,
really big
right.
difference.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that that brings a lot of value to our license holders as well, is that, I'm on the ground, I'm doing the work, I'm doing the job with you. So that support really comes like from inside. Like I've been there and I've done
Hmm.
that.
Yeah. I
So
mean, we have
like they
anyone with
know,
marquees, it's like, these suck. You're
yeah.
like halfway through a job and you're like, you like can't get the rack
Yeah.
to
You're
work or
like,
you're
oh, I have to
outside. Yeah.
carry this thing up these stairs.
A
Like,
hundred percent. Yeah. It's like I'm glad you're in the trenches with us.
yeah.
Okay, let's take our first break and then I want to shift and talk about the actual business and the licensing agreement because I think a lot of balloon people specifically who are primarily who's listening, we kind of bootstrap, right? Like we kind of just bought a bag of balloons and then let our business grow. So the idea of buying into an existing company is a little bit foreign. So I want to talk about that.
Okay, perfect.
You've heard me talk about having a party wholesale in almost every episode of the podcast for all of your balloon purchasing needs. But today I wanted to highlight an upcoming event called Twist Fest, which will be hosted by Having a Party. This in-person event will take place on Tuesday, January 7th, 2025 in Brooklyn, New York. And you can sign up for just $50 to learn from your favorite balloon artists and meet the manufacturers, including Sempertex, Tuftex, Jamar, Calisan, Brookloon, and Megashine. Registration is open now and spots are limited, so head to havenaparty.com to register for Twist Fest. All right, welcome back. Let's talk about the business side of this. Was this from the beginning or after a while of running your own business that you were like, we should make this available to other people? Or after doing all that legwork on the front end, were you like already thinking that?
So, my husband is a forward thinker, and he was already like, I'm not starting this business unless we can scale it. And he is very much on the like manufacturing side of the industry. He does consulting, high level consulting for big businesses, as well as like he's got CPA background. He's my numbers guy.
Hmm.
So originally, we started Nashville, which is Nashville. The way it kind of came about was actually our owner in Louisville. She reached out to us and wanted to do a Barbie birthday party for her daughter. And so in the very beginning, we were still getting our feet wet in the industry. We didn't start with a book of business. We didn't start in the events industry. We were just kind of like very much an anomaly. And when she brought it to us, I was like, okay, we'll meet halfway. It was a little bit of pulling teeth on her end for me because I didn't really want to let them go because they were so new. They were my fresh little babies.
Yeah. So
And
wait, I'm sorry, rewind. Who was this? You said your owner?
our owner in Louisville, so our business
Gotcha.
kind of
Okay, gotcha.
was
I thought I was like, wait, I thought you owned it. Okay, so was this the first person then that
the
you
first person.
got to
Yeah. So
deal
it's
with?
kind of
Okay,
like how it
gotcha.
all started. She brought it to me, she's like, how do I get these like yesterday after she had the party?
Yeah.
And then he was like, now's the time. Because he had already been thinking about that. Whereas I was really just thinking about managing Nashville and keeping the market growing here in the Nashville space. And so it really just kind of blew up from there. There was so much interest. Like you said, the like people in the balloon industry were really looking to kind of like next level elevate their business outside of just doing balloons, and whether they've been working with marquees in the past and have always sitting there like you mentioned, also tapping your foot waiting on them to like get set
Hmm.
up, those were always some challenges that I started hearing. And so one of the things that I thought was like, okay, I think this would be really good for other balloon artists if they're wanting to level up their business. Not only balloon artists, but other people that do rentals in the industry, whether they're, they do backdrops or bounce houses or some of those additional things, like being able to provide an additional product in the
Hmm.
market space.
Cool. So then I guess what was your thought process? Were you like, well, do we just like sell them or do we have an ongoing contract? I mean, like, there's lots of ways you could have kind of structured these deals. I don't really even know. Are you a franchise? Like, how do you even define what you are? So it's a licensing deal. Kind of walk us through that because I've never worked in that sort of space.
So we went over all kinds of ideas. We were like, do we franchise and or do we license or do we just become like a distribution like piece here?
And what
And
would be the differences between all those? I mean, I obviously know. I'm asking for a friend.
yeah,
No, I have no
absolutely.
idea.
Yeah. So if we were just to distribute and sell them, we would just be a wholesaler for Marquees, basically.
Yeah.
And you would be able to purchase them from us. And then that's kind of it. Franchising would be you buy into our brand, kind of think of it as like a Chick-fil-A. So when you go into a Chick-fil-A in Boston, you're going to also go into a Chick-fil-A in Nashville, and it's going to be exactly the same. Everything has to be operated exactly the same. So what we found and learned over the course of like obviously like running and operating the Nashville market and then talking with our partner in Louisville was that we don't operate the same.
Hmm.
In this industry, as you mentioned, a lot of artists are, balloon artists, they bootstrap, they kind of start from the beginning and they figure it out. So one of the other key things about, not really going in the franchising aspect was that we can't, every time we go onto an event, we do something different. So we can't really standardize any processes across the board in the events industry. So
Right.
to franchise, you really kind of have to standardize everything. So like your Coke machine has to be, at this setting every single time. So the Coke at this Chick-fil-A is the same as the Coke at this Chick-fil-A.
Mm.
We can't really do that across the board in the events industry because every event's different. Every setup is different. Every outdoor, indoor, under somebody's stairs, it could be any.
Right, right.
So that's how we landed on licensing. So licensing really was kind of the best suited place for this. We didn't want to just keep selling letters. We really wanted to create a household name and a brand that when you think of LED Marquee, it resonates with like quality and top tier service. And so licensing became the idea that, we have partnered with top tier providers in their markets that now offer LED Marquee as their product offering.
Okay.
So they're really licensing the brand. They're kind of bringing in like, what is that? What are the marquees? And then what that does is because of our quality aspect and what we expect out of our license holders is that marquees in Cincinnati are going to be the same as they're going to be in Louisville. So the clients that we've grown and the network that we've grown in the Nashville market, if they're doing big scale events in Orlando or South Florida and they've worked with us in Nashville, they're going to get that same service and that same quality. And
Gotcha, gotcha. So if you just do, if there's like a national tour or something, they could book
they could book at
your
all of our
marquees at all of
cities.
them. Yeah, and they're consistent. Cool. Okay, so then from the business owner side, what does a licensing agreement look like? Like what are you, I guess, getting for that, and what are you agreeing to for that?
Yeah. So you are buying into the brand itself, so you're able to use the branding. So as licensing, you're like we have a licensed trademark, like you're basically buying into the brand itself and the quality. So we kind of take care of everything. We make sure that you're going to get the same thing that every other city gets, but you also have full capabilities of using all of our marketing and all of our branding. So for you as a business owner coming in to be a part of LED Marquee, you have everything laid out for you in a playbook and we
Hmm.
hand it over to you and then we help you really jumpstart your business. Whereas, when we started, we didn't have any of that. So we had to grow, we had to bootstrap it, we had to grow, we had to get the content, we had to, do all those things where when you buy into the licensing piece of a company, of a brand, you get all of that in a playbook ready to go. So it's basically this nice little box with a white bow on it, and we hand you over your letters, and you can
Yeah.
literally go do a job the very next day and feel confident that you're going to show up and you're going to be able to provide that service.
Nice, nice. Okay, so then how many what do you call them? Partners? What do you call owners?
We actually have a name for ourselves. We're Neon Nation. But
Okay.
we do call them our LED Marquee partners. So
Okay.
they are we partner with their brands. So we kind of create this like happy marriage. So we want to make sure that brands are kind of cohesively together.
And how many of those do you currently have?
We currently have 46
Holy
with
crap, that's a lot.
yes, it is a lot. And we just started licensing in January. So January 1st this year was when we started our licensing piece of this business. And yeah, we have 46 signed today.
So is there like a maximum? Like, or are you just going to keep going? I would imagine you're not going to sell like two of these in my town of 7,000 people. So like what does that look like? Is there a radius or how do you kind of keep
Yeah,
that fair?
we do a territory protection.
Okay.
So there's no like set number. Obviously, territories are different by state. There we have, we have, let's talk about Ohio. So we've got Cleveland, we've got Columbus, we have Cincinnati, potentially maybe in some other pockets. We have Toledo. So we kind of pocket people out based on, what size market they are. So we do have two different size markets. And that really just depends on population density. So we have an A and a B. An A, for example, would be Nashville's an A market. A B market would be like a Chattanooga,
Okay.
or like a Knoxville or something like that, where, there's enough events and stuff going on. Maybe there's a college there and there's some things happening, but not necessarily the population density and the big corporate business that you would have in like a large, city proper.
Hmm.
So yeah, we're growing. We anybody and everybody, as long as you're not in somebody else's territory, we're definitely wanting to talk and continue to grow the network.
Cool, cool. Okay, let's take another break and then I have a couple more questions. Investment and kind of how long it takes to get up and running and kind of who you're targeting for this. So we will continue our conversation right after this break. If you're looking to grow your balloon business through sales and marketing, Balloon Suite is the high-tech toolkit designed just for you. Let's chat with Jeff Kelly, owner of Balloon Suite, to answer one of your sales and marketing questions. All right, Jeff, today our question is from Balloon Bash LLC, and she is curious about ways to attract more corporate clients. I think we all are.
This question absolutely triggers me, and you're going to learn why really quickly. The reason is that when I say the word corporate, what I mean is a business client.
Hmm.
Corporate, if we're not in our with our balloon decor hat on, the word corporate means large business. There are many, many, many large businesses out there in the world, and they all do different things, and they all operate differently, and they have different teams, and they have different needs, and they put on different events. And so instead of the word corporate, what I would invite you to do is be much, much more specific. How do I attract dealerships?
Hmm.
How do I attract fulfillment centers and warehouses? How do I attract local governments and government agencies? If you can become specific and change the word you're using, then it becomes much easier to figure out how you can meet those people, where you could meet those people, what they would need from you, because their needs are very different. The way they're going to want to work together might be different. If we're talking about a university, which some people would say is in the category of corporate, they're going to want to bill you differently. They're going to want a different kind of look to their decor than if we talk about a fulfillment center or a warehouse where their primary concerns are recruiting and retaining staff. So let's take that corporate word and let's get more specific about who you're trying to get to. And then it becomes a lot easier to figure out where to meet them and what it is they're going to need so that you can get that conversation going and get that sale landed.
Love it. Thanks so much. Balloon Suite helps boost your sales, solve everyday problems, and keeps you on track to reach your goals. Check out the link to Balloon Suite in the show notes wherever you're listening, or head right to balloonsuite.com. All right. A couple more questions. Is there a flat fee? Is there an ongoing fee? How, like, again, I know nothing about this world, so I'm just kind of trying to ask questions that I think listeners might be having. can you give us a ballpark of what it is to buy in, or do you not want to discuss that on the episode?
I cannot discuss
Okay.
that until you sign an NDA. So we do have an NDA in place that talks about when that's signed and we have conversations. We always do a face-to-face. So that's kind of like our process. You'll sign an NDA,
Gotcha.
we schedule a call. It's usually about an hour-long call. So it is like an investment on your time too. If you're interested and you really want to be a part of this brand, we want to make sure we're a good fit for you, for your business, as well as like for us and for our side of the business. So I like to meet everybody like this, virtually for at least an hour. And then we kind of go over what those numbers are based on like the A and B markets. I will answer the fee side of it.
Yeah.
We do a flat fee. So we actually don't do royalties or any of those types of things. So
Oh, okay.
one of the biggest things, my husband being a CPA, was like, I don't want to be everybody's CPA, and figure out what royalties are at the end of somebody's
Right,
year and
right.
that kind of thing. And so we really landed on simplification. So we really wanted to make it simplified for a small business owner to kind of like understand what it's like to kind of come into a brand that's existing and bring it into their wheelhouse, and know that just like at the end of the year, after I've done maybe 2 or 3 LED marquee jobs, like that covers my fee. And then that fee annually really goes towards things like your administrative stuff. So your email accounts, your website, all those things that we provide, as well as it goes back into the business for things like float, or our partnerships with Tough Text. If Tough Text wants us to come and do like letters somewhere, it'll kind of go towards that branding partnership.
Sure.
Like Balloon Boss Summit, I'm going down there to help sponsor that. And so those fees kind of like pay for that part of the business side to really kind of get the name out there more in different areas of the US.
Yeah, neat. Okay, cool. So you mentioned that there's a lot of different marquee companies in Nashville. Like you have a lot of competition. I mean, that's not the case where I am. So I think you are in a really saturated market. And you talked about how you've kind of differentiated your product. I love how you kind of articulated that. So if someone's listening and they're like, I'm kind of interested in this, but there's already a company in my town, what would your advice be to them?
So I think there's room for everybody, and that's the advice that I like to give everyone. I started this in Nashville, like I said, with 9 other marquee companies, and we stay very busy still. Um, I think what you can do, and what I encourage all of our license holders to do, is just set the bar high, be that top tier provider. Because what's going to happen is, if you do have competition in town, as long as you're setting yourself higher in an expectation with your clients and you're providing that service as you said you would, then the competition doesn't really exist in my mind. Because I feel like that client's going to continue to book with me, and they're going to tell their friends, and then they're going to tell their friends. And then that's where your business is going to really be driven by.
Yeah, cool. And it helps that it's a very cool product. I think it does kind of sell itself. I saw them and I was like, dang, these look so awesome.
Yeah. I think
Um,
too the color and branding aspect of it really does sell itself. So
yeah,
and I also think too, you're going to have a customer that they just want letters. So they just want to spell something at their event. And the way that I have to tell myself when it comes to even just like what I price myself at in the Nashville market is, if I didn't get that job, it's because they really weren't interested in the neon, like LED marquees. They just wanted to spell something at the cheapest dollar that they could get.
yeah.
And so that's not my
Well,
client.
and the
And
same as with balloons. If someone wants like a bouquet of five for their to tie to their mailbox for their kid's birthday, I'm probably not their person. It doesn't make sense. So I think that's exactly the same. Speaking of balloons, are you targeting balloon companies, or are there people who have nothing to do with balloons? Like who's your primary, customer?
oh, that's a tough one. Because I feel like we've had everybody across the board inquire, from people that just, they've always wanted to be in the event industry, and they're like,
Mhm.
this is such a good idea. Like, this is a plug and play business for them. That's how we started. Those are the fun ones. So those are the ones that I'm like, I really get to groom you to be really like the
Yeah,
way we are
right.
in Nashville. But balloon artists have really kind of set a high expectation, I think, just like always trying to innovate and things like that in the industry. And I love that. I think it's a great add-on to their business. I do think that in the beginning there's some challenges because if you're not used to doing rentals and having to go pick up at the end of the day, those are some of the things that you really have to think through as a balloon artist. If you only do balloons, well, now you're bringing in a rental piece that you're going to have to go back and pick up.
Yeah.
So, and that goes back into the conversations like, is this a right fit for you? The things that we talk about when we're on our first, calls with each other. But yeah, we're not targeting anybody. Honestly, I feel like we're just out there and people are just coming to us.
Yeah, that's great.
So as long as everybody it's a happy family, then that's what matters to me is that the family itself like continues to grow. And there are some areas too, like if we already have established like, locations and word of mouth gets out and they're like, oh, my friend's opening this location and I'm super interested now because then I'm nearby, but I know I'm not going to be in her territory. I would love to talk to you about it. And so a lot of those things happen too, which is great because then you've got like just this really good network that our sister locations can lean on each other. And that's kind of the biggest thing for us is that community over competition. When it comes to all of our license holders, we want everybody to work together and support each other. If I'm having a really big event in Nashville and I don't have enough C's, I can call Bowling Green or I can call Louisville and say, hey, I need to rent a C from you because I got
Yeah.
this big event. You meet me halfway? And we help each other in that
Yeah. Oh,
aspect.
that's great. Very cool.
Yeah.
Um, can I ask you about marketing? Just because you're still running your Nashville branch, what do you do to market locally? Are you targeting, I mean, hotels or events, or like you said, you're in Nashville, so people find you? Do you do a lot of bachelorette parties? Like what are you doing from the, I want to say licensee standpoint?
Yeah, like the
Local
side.
person. Yeah.
I don't really market anything.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I don't really market my
Uh,
business much anymore.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that so I will say, I guess I'm a part of ILEA in
Okay.
Nashville. So I'm a member of ILEA. We've done and we've donated and like sponsored some of our meetings. So that kind of got our name out in the industry for like planners and stuff like
Mhm.
that here in Nashville. I'm also a member of Heels and Handshakes, which is a very women business driven um, company. It's a networking company, and like she's now kind of, I think she has an event in like Charlotte. She's in Charlotte, she's in Chicago. So she brings a lot of like women in business together, and there's a wide variety of like what that actually entails. But just being a part of like just those two networks has actually put our name in the door for a lot of places.
Yeah.
And we work a lot with destination management companies in Nashville. So that's kind of our global network that we work with and nationwide that I like to keep near and dear because I love working with them. But I came from a corporate background, and so being able to kind of like really use those skills and the way that I communicate with these corporate planning companies has really kind of like set the bar to the point that I don't necessarily have to do a lot of marketing because they've seen our product in person. The first time they ever see it, they're like, oh, we thought it was just going to be Marquees. And then they're like, whoa, oh my gosh, they
Yeah.
do all this stuff. We're going to pitch this to all of our clients, that kind
Cool.
of thing. And so it's really been grassroots, just like word of mouth in the Nashville space. And we've just been very fortunate because we've been able to still set that expectation and set that bar and keep it high, even
Cool.
with
What?
all the licensing stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What was your corporate background? What did you do before?
So I traveled 85% of the time for about 10 years. I worked in clinical research. And then I also, before I started in the clinical research space, I actually did kind of like sales and like a banking space. So I would travel to the headquarters of like community banks, and then I would go to all their branch locations and meet with branch managers.
Okay.
So that's a fun background for me too. Whenever I'm talking with our license holders, it's like, I've been to your little bitty
Oh,
town.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
So
Oh, that's
I've
exciting.
I've been to 48 out of the 50 states, extensively in lots of the rural areas as well. The only two states I've not been to is Vermont and North Dakota. So
Oh, well, you
those,
could get to those. I thought you were going to say
yeah,
Hawaii and Alaska.
I know everybody thinks that, but no, like those are some of my very first ones I did, and I love both of those states so much.
Very cool. Well, neat. Well, I mean, thank you for giving me kind of a background, not only on your company, but on the whole like licensing. I've never really understood like how that works or what you're agreeing to. What's the turnaround time here? If someone's listening and they're like, I want this, and they're going to reach out to you, when can they expect to start offering these to their clients?
So definitely turnaround time right now, because we do have a lot currently
Yeah.
in production queue is about 5 to 6 months. We try to get it to you guys from like contract execution to your first installment of your payments to placing that order in the production queue, within a 5 to 6 month period.
Okay.
I mean, it really depends, if the manufacturer gets backed up and their supplier is not like, sending in their stuff, like there can be delays longer than that, but we just try to communicate that across the board and set the expectation. We don't allow license holders now, to have their website live until we are actually really close to making that delivery on site. And my husband
Sure.
and I actually hand deliver everything.
Oh,
So
wow.
you get to meet us in person. We do in-person training whenever we do it. So
So
it's
you
it's
need
a
a Vermont and a North Dakota person so that you can check off your
yeah.
states.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, cool. Well, thank you so much. Let's take one last break and then we're going to end on our fun questions.
Okay.
Before we wrap up this week's episode, I wanted to let you know that the 2025 Bright Balloon Business Planner is now available on Amazon. I created this planner a few years back when I was looking to purchase a planner to set my business goals, and everything I found was way too overwhelming. It included everything from a monthly schedule to your kids' soccer practice schedule to your grocery list. It was way too much. So I created something very simple and straightforward, simply for your business, for setting realistic goals and tracking your important numbers. So if that is something that will help you in your business, like it's helped me, it's available now. You can search on Amazon for the Bright Balloon Business Planner or click the link in the show notes wherever you're listening. I hope it helps. All right. Last questions. I ask everybody these. Where is your favorite place to go on vacation?
Oh man, that's tough. So I actually just posted yesterday my 4 favorite cities by season. Um, and this is like where I would have like a dream home basically in these seasons. And so I love Boston in the fall. Actually we're just there delivering our Boston inventory. So that was fun. It ended up being around like autumn, so the leaves and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Charleston is super near and dear to my heart. That's where my husband and I got married. I would love to have a space there someday. So if I'm like, can I just up and go on a whim and it's an easy flight? Probably those two areas, as well as Denver in the mountains in the summertime, and then Hawaii is obviously the top tier. That's my top pick always. I love
Yeah.
Hawaii. But those are my go-tos. Those are where
Nice.
if I'm vacationing, I'm going for the food and the beach and the charm, and that's pretty much it.
Love it. Next question. What is something you've purchased in the last few months that you're loving? It doesn't have to be business related. It doesn't have to be anything other than something you snagged off Instagram or picked up at Target.
Um, some Tecovas cowboy boots.
Oh, what are those? Are those special? Are they?
Oh yeah, they're Tecovas is just a brand of cowboy boots that are, they're on the higher end, but my husband purchased them for me as a gift for just like all the hard work that we've been doing in the last few months. Just
Nice.
we've been on the road for almost like a month and a half. So it's been a wild time right now.
Nice.
But
And you got
yeah,
your
some of those
reward boots.
are my boots. Yeah.
Love it. Perfect. And then the last question is, what is a small piece of business advice that you would offer our listeners?
I don't know, just keep doing what you're doing because somebody's going to notice it one day. And, I'm going to be 40 next year and never thought in a million years that this would be happening. But you can do it. So just always have that confidence in like what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. I sometimes hit those lows where I'm like, oh, what am I doing here? But then, I talk to the people and I talk to our network and our great little Neon Nation, and they're like, you got this, like, no worries. You're doing an amazing job. And so I just think that continue to tell yourself that you're doing an amazing job. And I think just believe that and believe in
Yeah.
yourself.
Well, I
Yeah.
think you are. And I appreciate all your transparency because, like, I think you're just figuring it out like we all are. It's like I keep waiting to get to the age where I like feel like a grown up. And I'm kind of looking around now and I'm like, wait, no one knows what's going on. Everyone is a couple days ahead of,
Yes,
you
it's
know.
so true. So true. Yeah. I mean, I think that that's part of it too, is like we're all always just figuring out life every single day. Like,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
If you had waited till you had all the details of a licensing agreement figured out before you had that first conversation, you'd never
Yeah.
be anywhere, you know. Same with balloons. It's like if you waited until you knew every step of business before you sold your first garland, you'd be screwed. So I like
Right.
that. Just keep going. Well, I
Yep.
love it. It was really nice to meet you. And this episode's going to come out in December, so we will have already met you at Summit.
Yep.
Are you going to make balloon conventions kind of your go-to stop? Or are you going to be at more? You mentioned Tough Techs potentially. Did I
Yeah,
put that
so
in your
I
mouth?
know Tough Tech's Experience just announced
They did. They did.
this, and we have a Columbus location. So I don't know if there's anything going to be happening with that. I would love for something too, but I'll have to contact them. But yeah, we're doing Summit, which I'm super excited about. I kind of it just kind of fell in my lap kind of thing. And I think it's fun for me to like be there in person and showcase the letters. And now that we have locations throughout the United States, it's a little bit easier where I'm not trucking the letters up. Like I brought all the
Yeah,
letters
yeah,
up to float, which was a massive experience. I didn't really know what to expect there. Um,
yeah.
but now I have a little bit better idea at this one. But yeah, I don't know if it's something that we're going to continue to do. We're looking at potentially some other conventions that have to do with the events industry. So not
Sure, yeah.
necessarily, but that's some of our things on our radar for next year, kind of in the fall of next year. We have a really big one that I don't want to announce because it's a top secret.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we've got some other stuff in up our sleeve for next
Well,
year.
cool. Well, if anyone listening sees you at an event, I hope they stop by and say hello. And thank you so much for giving us an introduction to you and your company. And most important, where should someone reach out if they are interested in chatting with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're interested in being a part of the LED Marquee Neon Nation, there is a place on our website that says open a location. So you'll want to just go on there, fill out that inquiry form, send it over to us, and we try to get to those as quickly as possible. But you'll get an email back, and then we'll just end up scheduling a call that way.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And it was so nice to meet you.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. Our presenting sponsor is 17 Hats, the CRM I use to cut the chaos and manage my entire balloon business. From the lead capture form on my website to workflows and email templates, invoicing and grab-and-go garland automated bookings, it's all powered by 17 Hats, the best customer relationship management system for balloon businesses. There's even a 50% off coupon code waiting for you in the show notes wherever you're listening. I'll see you next week in another episode.